Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon, and today we're looking at a Volcanion deck list. I think this is an archetype that's really in a good spot right now. Gardevoir's on the decline after the results from Memphis, and so is Garbodor, and these were two of the big issues for the Volcanion archetype. So, with a lot less ability lock around, and no real punishment for these high energy attack costs, this deck is pretty much free to roam and simply one-hit KO everything in its path, and pretty much just win favourable prize trades. And that's why I've been testing it for a little bit, having some decent results right now. I've just been on a cheeky win streak for a couple of hours, so I thought it's a good time to show off the deck list just before I start taking this to cups, which I think I'm probably going to do just because it's a safe, all-basic deck that has the Octillery in here, which is a big inclusion, which I really am enjoying, and I'll talk about it in a moment. So let's talk about the initial Pokemon and get down to the list as per usual. First of all, we have the Baby Volcanion, one of the most powerful parts of the deck, still definitely a really important factor here, provides great energy acceleration and early damage output. It also has 130 HP, which is really bulky in the early game, which is great for you, so it's pretty difficult to take the single prize for the opponent in the early turns. 130 is especially annoying for Zoroark variants, which typically cap out at 120 with its own Riotous Beating attack, so being that little 10 out of range makes it that much more awkward for those sorts of decks. Power Heater, starting off at an innocent 20 damage, can definitely get more powerful with the help of Steam Up in the early turns. We are playing Choice Band, so it's not quite the same as fighting Fury Belt, so it's not always as easy to hit the 60 HP Pokemon for one-hit KOs in the early game, but similar to something like Buzzwole, where it too plays Choice Bands, but it has things like the Regirock EX and the Strong Energies. With a Power Heater, combined with two Steam Ups, we can still one-hit KO the small HP Pokemon and take some early prize cards. And what's important, though, is now that we are playing Choice Band, we can actually get easy two-hit KOs with Power Heater whilst getting energy acceleration. And this acceleration is so important for the Volcanion archetype because we have 3 energy attack costs on Turtonator, which also discards from itself, and Volcanion-EX as well. So our two main attackers being so hungry for energy, we need to use this guy in the early turns to take prizes and also set up our board. It's a really, really potent card, and still the main reason why I love using the Volcanion deck. Steam Artillery, a second attack as well, which is sometimes an option if it is really awkward to deal with this non-EX Pokemon, or potentially we're up against other non-EX variants. Steam Artillery just does 100 for 3 energy as well. Pretty costly attack, but again, Steam Ups and Choice Band can actually take, once again, one-hit knockouts. So if you're trying to skew the prize trade and you have time to attach up to this guy, he can be even more of a threat later down the line, but usually just for the Power Heater in this deck. Next up, I'm playing a full 4 count of Volcanion-EX. I think Steam Up is in just a great spot right now. Trying to reach those big one-hit KOs is integral, and because we're not playing the Fighting Fury Belts on the list, I feel like having a really high count in addition to the Brooklet Hills gives us good options of taking those early prizes and making sure we can hit the numbers that we need to. Steam Up, of course, allows us to discard a fire from hand to do an additional 30 for our basic fire Pokemon, which the Baby Volc works for, as well as himself and the Turtonator-GX. So most of our main attackers in here all benefit from this ability. His own attack does 130, and this Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. We have high Float Stone and Guzma count, so typically we can get around this. And 130, decent baseline, which obviously ramps up so much higher with more Steam Ups. So typically we're looking to take one-hit KOs with this guy. We have the dual typing. Neither of them are all that relevant right now. Fire typing, pretty good for Decidueye and for Golisopod. But beyond that, not too many things being hit for weakness. And the water typing, only really useful for the mirror, to be honest, right now, as we are in the format. But good to note as well. From there, we have 2 Turtonator-GX. This has been the partner as soon as it was released. It's a very strong card. 190 HP, again. One of those things, like I was just saying with the non-EX Volcanion, this 10 HP can be a big difference in certain matchups. I know Drampa Garbodor is sort of sneaking back in and around right now. I know Philip Schultz played it in Turin and had a good result with it, so a few people are testing that out all over again. So having this 190 instead of 180 is still super relevant. It's also helpful against, once again, Guardy, which is going down in play to an extent, but is still something you have to be aware of and concerned about. So forcing them to have an extra attachment can sometimes be favourable for you. He has 3 very, very potent attacks. Shell Trap for 2 Colourless Energy just does 20. During your opponent's next turn, if this Pokemon is damaged, even if it's knocked out, put 8 counters on the attacking Pokemon. Again, this can be a fairly decent early game attack for you. With steam ups in there, you can take single prizes quite handily, and you can also force the opponent to put 8 counters on themselves, which essentially front loads your steam ups, so next turn you need very little to take your one-hit KOs. So this is something you can use. It's rarely used in this deck, because typically you want to power up the Bright Flames and take one big knockout, but Shell Trap is a decent option if you're in a weird spot. Then you have Bright Flame, which does for 2 fire and a colorless 160, and discards 2 fire from this Pokemon, so doesn't seem that beneficial compared to Volcanic Heat. It's just a 30 HP difference in terms of damage, but that difference is really important against Gardevoir, for example, when you're trying to reach a big 230 number, and at the same time you're discarding energy from yourself, which is again beneficial for Gardevoir. So even though I said at the start of the video it's going down in play, it's still, you know, a tier 2 archetype at the very least. Some people still have it at top tier, so still something we have to be concerned about, and that's why Bright Flame is integral. And at the same time, like I was saying, with the Shell Trap, where you sort of front load your damage, simply having one extra like free steam up in the base damage is also really good for when you're trying to reach knockouts against lots of 210 HP Pokemon which are roaming around right now. So Bright Flame still a really, really powerful attack. And on top of that, Turtonator has the amazing GX attack Nitro Tank, which is an amazing way to reload your energies. You're allowed to attach 5 fire energy from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way that you like. Obviously, Turtonator discards for himself, but at the same time, you can reload him and also start powering up Volcs or other Turtonators on the bench and be ready for the late turns. Typically, the format is quite fast, and you don't need to Nitro Tank all that much in this meta because Volc is simply so good at taking one-hit KOs that you announce 3 attacks and you win so often with your EX and GXs at the very least, other than early power heaters. So the Nitro Tank isn't always mandatory, but it's typically when you're put to a low hand size, you get end, and you don't have an answer, then you can Nitro Tank and refill your board and set up multiple threats. So great to have the late game acceleration in addition to elixirs and Baby Volc. Like, you're never really out of attacking threats with this deck, and that's what's really cool about the Turtonator. Only 2 copies of Tapu Lele. It's sort of complemented by the Octillery that we're playing in this list. And at the same time, we want to have bench spaces available for multiple steam ups with Volc-EX. So I think 2 is a reasonable count, especially when you are playing the Octillery support, which we are here. So 2 giving you enough to get those early game supporter outs with the Ultra Ball, and hopefully claw out those Guzmas and stuff in the late game as well. But beyond that, it doesn't serve a massive role, so just 2 is fine. From there, the 2-2 line of Octillery. This has been sort of in and out of Volcanion lists. I know way back when we started off profiling Volcanion, myself and Jack were very big fans of the Octillery list. That was when we even played maybe 1 or 2 Dive Ball, I think, back then. Now the reason for playing Octillery is because of Brooklet Hill has amazing synergy, and quite simply, there's a lot less ability lock right now. And when there's less ability lock, Octillery has, you know, one of the best abilities in the game for helping you out, getting extra cards here and there when you're trying to take big knockouts, which, you know, Volcanion always does. And most importantly, end-proofing. Octillery is one of the best ways to end-proof yourself so that you can take those last couple of prizes, most of the time looking for something like Guzma or a bunch of steam-ups to get you the final 2 prizes for the game. So having the Octillery as a fallback is just phenomenal. It's no surprise that we're seeing Vikabulu lists start to employ Octillery, and of course, lately Buzzwole Lycanroc has been very successful, and that too plays, you know, the Brooklet Hill engine and has the Octillery in the back to really help you get over the line once you take those early prizes. And Volc, you know, is very similar in that regard. It's a very similar archetype, so we can benefit from Octillery in exactly the same way. The main Garbodor variants out there right now is probably going to be Azul's Golisopod Garbodor, and although it is awkward to not have your draw engine, because we're a fire deck, we should typically be able to just pretty much steamroll that matchup, in theory. So even though I'm not playing Field Blower, it feels like Garbodor is just so on the down low that you can get away with it right now. I'll talk about no Field Blower in a moment, but yeah, Octillery just is on such a high power level in the format right now just because of the lack of Garbodor. And it serves great purposes in this deck and allows us to be greedy with Guzmas, allows us to dig even further with Sycamore, give us almost similar to a Zoroark list where you can dig like 10, 13 cards or so. So it's a really good pairing in Volcanion, and I'm surprised it hasn't been in it more often. I know we went away from it just because of the height of Garbodor for a while, but now it seems to be safe to come back into the list, and it's really great. Like, the deck feels way better now than it has in a while, just because you have the backup of this guy. From there, we have a very simple count of items. One Super Rod, nice for reloading a few Fire Energies if need be, and also recovering some Pokemon. This isn't the strongest card in the deck. I can see this potentially being a cut, but I think alongside a couple of Retrievals and 14 basic fires, I think it's a decent number to give you enough fuel throughout the game to get multiple steam ups. Typically, I use this to get 3 Fire Energies back just before digging for like elixirs or digging for steam ups themselves. But here and there, it can help you out in awkward spots if you've had painful discards, or if you get hit with something like Parallel City. These things can really stabilize you. So Super Rod, a decent one of. I can see it being cut, but it serves a role for now. 2 Energy Retrieval. This is sneaking back into the deck. Once again, with the lack of Garbodor in the format, we can move back into playing fairly high item count decks. Energy Retrieval, way back when in the beginning list of Volcanion, was sometimes even a 4 count. Now I think having the high basic count in addition to 2 Retrievals gives us plenty of options in the early game, and gives us the reload that we need on big turns to take these knockouts. So a couple of Energy Retrieval, I think it's all we need, and it is very helpful for getting extra steam ups here and there. Only 3 copies of Max Elixir. I'm really tempted to play 4. It is very, very strong. I've said how hungry these cards are for energy. But personally, the way I play Volc, I go very heavy on Power Heater. Oftentimes my first 2 turns will be Power Heater. So I feel 3 is plenty enough just to supplement you. Just to make sure you have plenty of attackers. But it can get a bit hairy if you start missing 1 or 2 of them. So potentially a 4th could be added into here. I want to talk about choice bands later on. I'm playing 3 of them right now, but they could be cut all together, actually, just to have more steam ups and like a 4th elixir and more basic energies. It's a little bit crazy to do that, but that's a line that I've considered. I've not pulled the trigger on it yet. Need to start testing a 0 choice band list. But for now, 3 max elixirs. I don't have much space elsewhere to cut, so that's why we're just having to make do with a 3 count. Still an important card, though, for sure. 4 Ultra Balls, great for thinning the hand of junk, so we can get more Abyssal Hands going, and also good for getting into Octillery and Lele in the first place, as well as any other Pokemon that we need to. Ultra Ball really good for just thinning the deck as much as possible. We are the aggressive archetype. We do want to dump as much junk as possible, so that when we get into a low hand size, we have the outs to still win the game, because we've not been cluttered up with anything we don't need. On our deck will essentially just be Fire Energies and Guzmas. That's like the ultimate end game that you're looking for as Volcanion. So Ultra Ball, doing those discards throughout the game is going to be really nice for you. 3 Brooklet Hill, very, very strong for helping us get the early Volcanion-EXs down for the early Power Heater knockouts. And additionally, very good for establishing Remoraid, so we can get into turn 2 Octillery and get that draw engine online. Again, very, very nice for you. Supporters, very simple stuff. 4 Guzma, it's a great tool for retreating our guys. Everything's chunky in here, but also just taking those aggressive prizes. 4N, I know it's not amazing because we are so aggressive, but when you have the Octillery support, you feel a lot less bad about doing sort of medium ends for just 4 or 3 prize cards. That's kind of fine. And it gives you a little bit of refresh and also can disrupt the opponent. There are still lots of decks running Beacon, and there's lots of Zoroark decks which can get to, 12 card hand sizes. It is important to refresh those. Even if it's 10 going down to 5, it's a big difference, and forces them to do all those trades all over again. So N's still an important 4 of, I think. I know a few Volc players that are playing Octillery have cut to 3, but I think just having early game is important enough to still play the maximum counts. Once you are established and get going, you can quite easily sycamore excess ones away, or Ultra Ball them, get them in the bin. It's not a big deal. So just start off strong, have 4N. I think it's the safest policy. And 4 Professor Sycamore as well. Simple dump and draw, still the best card in this deck probably, or the best support card in this deck. So there we go. So 3 choice bands. There's the big debate around Choice Band and fighting Fury Belt, and I've added into the mix as well playing neither of the 2. That could be an option. I think if I was going to play no Choice Bands, I would play another Elixir and 2 more basic energies, so I'd go up to 16 Fire. I think at that point I'd probably cut Super Rod and shuffle a couple of other things around, but you could potentially play like absolutely no Choice Bands, because essentially Steam Up is the same thing as Choice Band, right? The main reason why we play both is because bench space is a thing, and you can't always have 3 Volcanion-EX on your board. if you've had an awkward Lele turn 1 and Lele turn 2 again, then it completely ruins the strategy. So that's why Choice Band's in my list. I think 30 damage is much more favourable than 10 when there's lots of 210 HP Pokemon running around, and most notably Zoroark, of course. So dealing with Zoroarks, Lycanrocs, obviously we hit for weakness already on Golysopods, but it also opens the door for Power Heater knockouts on Golysopods. So a lot of doors open with the Choice Band. You can get 2-hit KOs with Power Heater with you when you have Choice Band on your side as well. So I really like the extra damage that you can get on exactly 210 HP Pokemon. Clearly, we are way worse against Gardevoir because we have very easy hit points, and Choice Band math compared to Fury Belt math is no different. The 10 and the 30 doesn't change the amount of Steam Ups that you need, so our Gardevoir is much worse when you play Choice Band, but I think it's a risk we're willing to take just because of the amount of Zoroark being played in the meta right now. Choice Band as well, it's another way that you can sort of justify playing no Field Blower in the list. With a Choice Band, you can much more easily Bright Flame, knock out things like Drampers, and you can do the combination of like Power Heater into Volcanic Heat for knockouts, even without abilities. So I think if you're playing Fury Belts, you have to play at least one Field Blower. With Choice Bands, you don't have to. I still think one Field Blower could be mandatory for the deck and could still be the right answer. But I'm just thinking about League Cups, and I'm thinking about trying to be as basic as possible and just trying to dodge some garbs, basically. But with Choice Band, I think you can get away with no Field Blower, but without it, I don't think you can. And it would be a quite cool thought experiment to see if you can go without any of these cards and just play more Fire Energy and a 4th Elixir. It may be something I do this weekend just for fun. It could be pretty cool just to have guaranteed Elixirs. And Choice Band isn't huge right now because 210 is already quite easy to hit. But yeah, that's just random thoughts. Right now, sticking with the Choice Bands. 3 Float Stones, again, just like I said with the Guzma, everything's chunky, great to shove them onto Volcanion-EXs, good to have on the Octillery, even just to free retreat in and out, do whatever we want. It makes Guzma more usable as well, so all around very good stuff. And then a 14 counter fires, that's a bunch, that means that every turn you can have a manual attachment, throw some Steam Ups into the mix, and still be good to get your Power Heaters rolling and all that good stuff. The deck is all around Fire Energy. It always has been, and alongside the 2 Energy Retrieval and the Super Rod, I think it's plenty to see throughout the game. And I think in general, just very, very strong stuff. So there we go. That is going to be the list. Let's talk about a few potential inclusions. Ho-Oh is the first one that springs to mind that isn't in my list. Ho-Oh, of course, is a weak to lightning instead of weak to water. So this is potentially the tech option for you if you are going to be scared of Greninja, which is sort of in and around the format right now. So being aware of that and being able to one-hit KO Greninjas is pretty nice, and having the snipe damage is reasonable as well at times. So the main reason I'm not playing Ho-Oh, obviously I'm not playing Kiawe, which is the big thing. But I think if you are going to play Ho-Oh, you probably have to cut Octillery altogether and then go to like an Oranguru build and then go Ho-Oh. But I've pretty much just talked about how important Octillery can be for the last like 10 minutes. So that's why we're not making the space for Ho-Oh. So I will quickly mention Oranguru. This guy has been in Volcanion lists of old. And I think right now, just because you can get away with committing more spaces to an ability, that's why I'm going for Octillery. Octillery obviously gets you more cards, so you're more safe against the ends, more safe against disruption, gives you that little bit extra digging power. And when there's no ability lock, you may as well just go as greedy as possible. So that's why we're not going Oranguru, and I feel like Octillery, in the format we're in currently, you can get away with. So that's why we're going to play him. A couple other cards we can talk about. Potown was in, I think it was Ben Potter's successful Volcanion list from a League Cup. I think he won with it. He played 4 Potown and no Brooklet Hills. Obviously, we're playing the Octillery list, so we're going to play Brooklets no matter what. But Potown, if you are concerned about Gardevoir, when he did play his League Cup, Gardevoir was more prevalent. And if you think Gardevoir's here to stay, you can go for a Potown plus Oranguru route. So you can go down that road if you want to. Potown is something I don't mind experimenting with. Professor's Letter is a big one. Oh my goodness. Where is this card? There it is. Professor's Letter. allows you to just get those fire energies, similar to Retrieval, but it's more aggressive. It thins the deck at the same time. We know that one of the Memphis successful lists was playing a very high count of Professor's Letter. They didn't play any Max Elixir, which I don't agree with. But I think personally, you're safe enough just having a high physical energy count. I don't see spaces for Prof's Letter. You can maybe squeeze in 1 or 2 if you really want to. But for now, I'm fairly content. And Choice Band, in a similar way, serves as like a Professor's Letter, if you think about it in an awkward way. So if you are going to play like the no Choice Band list, maybe that's where you make space for letters. But right now, I feel like there are so many cards that are better than Professor's Letter that I'm not going to play it in my list right now. Field Blower is a big one. I'm being pretty greedy not playing Field Blower in my list. Really banking on the fact that Garbodor is on the decline, and the main list that does play Garb is a grass deck. So Fire is going to wreck that even without the help of abilities, at least in theory. So that's the hope. That's why I'm not playing Field Blowers. You can get away with just playing 1. I think that's fine. You can cut an N, maybe cut a Fire Energy, maybe cut the Super Rod. These feel like the weakest cards. Or maybe even 1 Volc-EX. That's fairly reasonable. Maybe one of your 3 choice bands. You can make some cuts there to fit in 1 Field Blower. I wouldn't play more than 2 right now, ever. I don't think there's not enough Garbodor to justify it until we see the format develop a little bit more. So I think 1 or 0 Field Blower is the current count for Volcanion as we are in the metagame. Fighting Fury Belt's the last card. Again, this is if you're expecting the return of Guardy right now. It's sort of on the decline, sort of being pushed out by aggressive stage 1s and all the Lycanrocs being able to pick off things like Curliers and really stop setup from Guardy. I think it's got a long way to go to sort of make a comeback in a great way. I don't think it'll be top tier again, really, with the amount of metal support coming out in the Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon set. So Fury Belt, I think, is the inferior tool, especially when there's so much Field Blower running around in other Zoroark lists. Desi Zoro playing 2 counts and other Zoro variants probably playing 3. It doesn't make sense to have the increase of health. You just don't get the benefit, so instead actually improve your numbers with Choice Band. That's why I think Fighting Fury Belt is currently the better option. So that is going to be it for the deck and the current options that we have. Let's jump into some games with this deck. I've been doing decent today, and let's see if we can keep up this streak with Volcanion. Like I said, there's still more to explore with Volc. I want to mess around with a few counts in the energy department, see if Choice Band's worth it all over or not. But hopefully if a few of these games will show off the deck. I'm sure most of you by now know what Volcanion's all about, but let's go for it. A lot of you haven't seen it with Octillery for a little while, so that'll be fun at the very least. Have a decent first hand. Because I kind of want our opponent to N, I won't put down both Volcs. If we just have the 5-card hand, we're slightly more likely to get end. Not the ideal turn 1 from us. We have good leads and whatnot, but our hand isn't going to take us many places. Something like Ultra Ball, even Brooklet Hill is a good top deck, because we could get Remoraid and develop Octillery turn 2. The opponent's got a painful discard here. They're going to get their Lele though. Likely bridge it. That's what we normally see. And there it is. Playing max potions. So I'm guessing it's going to be something like a Zoroark variant. But it looks to be Guardy. Okay. Guardy, definitely one of the hardest matchups, as you all know. And with a hand like this, it's going to be pretty rough. At least they can't retreat Beacon. We actually top deck N, which I guess we'll be playing. Let's do this stuff. One good thing is that they have got 2 Leles currently on their board. They can always parallel one away or whatever, but it's going to be nice to try and target these down for easy prizes, because Volc typically can't win in a conventional manner. It's also interesting that our opponent only developed 1 Rolls, so they're giving us time to maybe build up a couple of Volcs. Obviously way better to attack with a Turtonator, but we didn't draw into one, so we'll just start powering up our Volc-EXs and see where that gets us. They're going to parallel us very proactively. That's kind of fine. I wonder if they would have been better served just paying retreat and doing it to themselves there. They probably would have been. Well, currently we don't have any of our own stadiums. That's another reason why you may want to play the Field Blower. But as I said, I'm playing Choice Band, so I'm expecting less Guardy than previously. So I'm on the greedy side. My bad, my bad. Okay, here comes the beacon from the opponent. So I like an aggressive Guzma here. It allows us to do the steam up shenanigans. And it's also going to deny a Ralts. We can't end, but we can deny them getting more Guardies out, which is important. I'm just trying to think what's the most important thing to get here. It might be the Remoraid, you know. I think targeting Remoraid's pretty good. Yeah, let's do it. It's a stage 2. Let's target the engine. They bring back in the Vulpix. They go Curlier. Secret Spring. Onto the Curlier, which is interesting. They're going to Super Rod. And they do have Sycamore, having to get rid of Octillery. They get into their Remoraid, but they just discard an Octillery, which is interesting. They get a free max potion here. I think it's fine, because we can pick off the Leles in one hit anyway. I still think targeting the Remoraid was right that turn. We're going to see another beacon. Okay, they're going to go Ralts and Guardy. So we're again just going to go for a double steam up KO with a Guzma. Seems good. Trying to limit the amount they can go wild with one Guardy. Also, if they can only really develop one, it means that their like max potioning shenanigans is all a lot weaker. Although they have already been through 2. They promote the Guardy, so they're unlikely to go for a Guzma. There's their second Super Rod. DC 369. They actually played 2/2 Octillery. Scary times. Secret Spring. And Infinite Force. Okay. Well, are we big dreamers? We need 3 steam ups and Choice Band. It's fun to dream. I think a 2-shot is really reasonable here anyway. When they've already spent 2 max potions, it's pretty reasonable. I need to be greedy and go for the draws first. Oh boy. Well, that's 3 steam ups. Now we're not far away. High roll incoming. 2 Choice Bands in the deck. Who needs Turtonator, yo? Let's do it. Ah, sadness. No stadium either. That's really the biggest issue here. Rip us, huh? Let's see if they can get a max pot. They've gone through 2. This is probably Broken Guardy with 4 copies. They do have a rare candy here. There's a big Sycamore. More rare candies and Guardy pieces in the bin. That's good for us because they've already gone through double rod. Looks like these 2 Guardy are the things we need to get through. Springing to the bench means they probably don't have max pot. Just yet, at least. DC, so they can pay retreat, force us to Guzma, I think is the right play. Yep. Sushi, don't get exactly max potion, please. Ultra Ball, that's not max potion. Good news. Okay. So, if I get Baby Volc out, how good is that? Not very good, because I need the bench space. I'm thinking of the Parallel City still being in play here. It's been really big for them. Yeah, maybe I just go... like this. Okay. So we're going to see Choice Band from the opponent, Secret Springs coming in. Looks like they're having to go to a Lele. Oh, they're just going all in. Okay. That seems fine. All in seems good. We get hit with an N here. 1 insta-play card. We need a pretty big Guzma on our end to win. Okay, that's that. Let's thin an extra card if we can. We can't. So we basically need Guzma Retrieval to win off of 4 cards. It's not great. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 outs for the Guzma is pretty high. It's just the combination of steam ups is going to be the awkward part here. Okay, that doesn't affect anything. Let's see what happens. That really sucks. Okay, so now we need to hit lots of steam ups, right? We need to go 3, 6, 9, 12. We need to hit 4 steam ups this turn. So we need to Sycamore into the 2 Volc that we're putting back in, the Retrieval, and lots of energy. Let's do it, team. Lol. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I'm thinking if I ever end here. Not when they have Octillery. Not when they have Octillery. Well, we hit all the Volcs. We just didn't hit the other part. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8. 8 out of probable 11. Okay. So I messed up by benching one of these Volcs. I should have just done this. Taking this to hand and then put this down. Yeah, I should have left a bench spot open. Pretty sure it doesn't matter. But just FYI. They win in so many ways here. It's unreal. This is one of them. Oh. Wow. They didn't have Guzma in that hand. They got that off the one. That's great. I mean, they had the Octillery. It's just funny that that happened. Damn, son. The 2-2 Octillery line that they played took me by surprise. It really spared them. If they didn't play 2-2 there, they'd definitely lose that game. Interesting. Guardi, of course, is one of our matchups that we're really, like, throwing caution to the wind and saying, you know what, we don't play much for you. Having no Turtle that game was obviously pretty bad as well. He's a pretty good attacker in the matchup. You know that time we were one steam up short? Yeah. Or what were we missed a choice band? Yeah. Close game though. Okay. Let's do this. Let's have another game with Volc. Vikabulu. Let's do it. Vikabulu, pretty even matchup. The big thing here is when we target their Vikavolt is the most important thing. Because the Bulu always has to discard it. Oh, wow. Okay. Never mind. It's stage 2, and stage 2 things happen. At times. We probably don't need this. We'll guarantee our turn 1 KO. Because that's pretty good, I would say. Wow, that's a pretty ugly hand. Baby Volc can even take prizes in this matchup on Bulus. I know we don't hit weakness, but I think it's going to be important to use non-EXs. I'll still attach to this one, but for just future steam ups, it's not terrible to have him on board. Future power heaters, I mean. Okay, so they have Bulu now. They have Sushi. How many other playable cards do they have? Choice Band. Lightning Energy isn't great either. Guzma trying to slow us. Slow us down a peg. Lets them protect the Sushi. Okay. You have the steam. Do I hold on the attachment? I think I do, just in case of... Well, what am I scared of at this point? This always happens. I might even attach the active. You know what? Attaching active... Energy Retrieval attach active could be our best play here. No, it's not. It's not. Attach active is still right, though. Okay. The threat. The double threat. Let's see what they can come up with. Have they found themselves Bridget yet? There it is. Interesting to know that on turn 1 of this game, pre-Sycamore, we had a chance to Ultra Ball away Guzma and a Fire Energy. We wouldn't have guaranteed KO, but we would have developed a Remoraid, which would have been good for us. How important is... Yeah, these are definitely important enough. Okay. So we have the N here. Hopefully we get Fire Energy off of this. Nice. And now I'm going to try and develop little Remoraid. It's normally quite likely to develop Remoraid just because of the Brooklet Hills. Just didn't happen this game. But that'll be our first 2 prizes. Let's see if they can develop the turn. What's this? 4 Vikavolt. They have the grass attachment, which is very good. They have the Bulu. We see a Skylar. It's all happening. There it is. Maybe my Ultra Ball was too greedy there, going for that, keeping the N over the Lele. I'm thinking I need the bench space, but it would have been opened up anyway by the Baby Volc getting knocked out. Random thought stopped me. We could always back out and go for a Power Heater this turn. We'll see. We'll see what happens with our top deck. I should have kept the Lele over this N in my hand, though. So, if we steam up off the bat, we don't get an attachment in guaranteed. That much is obvious. I think I'm going to try and continue to skew prize race. Not bad, getting the sushi off the N. Developing this is fine, we don't need it. How much steam do I need for next turn? I guess I keep them all. So this evens up his prize trade, but the intention is to power up this over the next few turns. This is probably his GX attack turn. I guess I am pretty worried about Guzma here, huh? Maybe I should have attached my other energy here. Second Vikavolt, so they've got it all. It has taken them a few turns, in fairness. Here comes the Lele. I'm imagining Guzma's coming down every time here. There it is. I should have played around this better. Especially with energies in my hand. Don't know what I'm doing. We still have elixirs available, and that's what's keeping us hopeful here. Whoa, that's weird. 2, 4, 6, 8, 14. How do they do it? They need energy banned. Oh, they're just going to pay retreat? They could have attacked with this. But why? Unless they want to specifically attack with the other thing so that they can get the GX attack off. Maybe that's why. They might want to exactly Tapu Wilderness, but it's only 20 damage. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Just lost an energy for themselves. Pro deck thinning strats? Question mark. Okay. Not in great shape here. Be the first to admit that. Let's get some steam up in here. More than anything, we need to open up our hand. No elixirs is sadness. So he GX attacks here. Or anywhere where I attach a second energy. So if I do it like this. This could be our best route. Not great though. So here comes the recycler. They can reload their big Bulu. They can go for a GX attack. Let's see if they can do it alongside a Guzma. We need a lot here. We need a lot. Okay, they've combined it with an N rather than a Guzma at least. I mean, it doesn't matter. Kind of. Kind of does, kind of doesn't. We need that bench space to be a Volc-EX. With elixirs, it doesn't have to be. Okay, let's see. The choice bands come down, just deck thinning strats. And the Tapu. So we've got to go into the baby to force a Guzma next turn. 2 of them have been played for the opponent. We can't play that Turtonator because we need 3 steam ups this turn because we've used all of our choice bands. Oops. So we're going to do this. I can't play a Lele, so we shouldn't search one. We need fire energies for steam ups, but at the same time I need to actually have a end game, so we should get this. Big 3 cards here. It needs to be very jammy. Needs a Sycamore, basically. Yeah, not much coming there. In that case, we do this. Do this. Really struggling here. Probably always lose at this point. No follow through for Volc, because sadness there. Oh, I think back to my first turn, where I was too safe in taking my turn 1 prize on the Mew. I mean, it really didn't matter in the game, because they just didn't have anything going. I should have developed Remoraid earlier, because we were sat on that awkward hand for 2 or 3 turns and just didn't pounce on him enough. Probably poor play from me there. And also the turn where I attached a 3rd energy to something that was obviously going to be Guzma was also very poor. Definitely could have played better there. They were for the taking, really, because of how bad their start was. We should have been able to outrace them. Misplays. Sad face. So let's see their Octillery. If they can get one of their Guzmas. Played 2. They probably play 3 total, I would imagine. Recycler. Sycamore. That's not a Guzma. Have they misplayed here? They have misplayed here for sure. They've gone through 2 recyclers. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 energy gone. So we need to Guzma his Bulu on the bench to win the game. Either way, I need energy plus Guzma. So, like, I need energy to attach to this, but to Bright Flame. Or I need energy here to... Yeah, we need to Bright Flame, because 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay. Float Stone's an insta-play, so I don't hate it. You're also an insta-play. What's my best insta-play here? You? Okay. Oh, definitely not you. 2, 4, 6. Yeah, that's dumb. Now I can lose to this. What am I doing? Final hurdle. Wrecked myself. God damn. So dumb. Okay, now we have to dodge Guzma no matter what. We don't have our own Guzma. So now we need to dodge Guzma just for the sake of him not being able to retreat. So with that in mind, we keep the steam up. How many switch have they played? Have they played any switch? No, they played no switch. I mean, I can't end them out of switch. This Remoraid was terrible, because it means we get Guzma'd by this. This has been a cavalcade. Of screw-ups. Sure. So now we lose to switch cards, or energy recycle cards, or Guzma. Any of those will do. They've accessed pretty much all their deck. Let's see if they overextended and messed up. Lord knows we've messed up this game. Skylar should be switch card for game. There it is. Misplays. At least I didn't lose to the Remoraid. Lost to the other card. Yeah, Sushi is so important to develop early with this deck. Let's have one more game. Need to redeem Volc, seeing as I was thinking about playing it this weekend. It's a little bit annoying that before I started recording I was on a 6 wins, and it was against good decks as well. And now I play badly and lose badly twice in a row. Damn it, Volc. Let's get one more. I see grass. Let's see what else he's playing. I do a good job of showing the weaknesses of Volc. That's one thing I do very well. Hello, buddy-o. Ah, Genesect Venusaur. Going to see the attachment and an early Bridget. Pretty nice, seeing as though we know they do play the Octillery as well. Keeping a slot open for the Lele, it looks like. So we have a pretty nice Nitro tank here. As long as we can get some good Pokemon. Choice Band really isn't too relevant. I'll keep the option to retreat my Turtonator with a Float Stone. Couple of Volcs. Can be a full 5. Oh no, sorry. It's 4 energy. Oh my goodness. Yep, seems good. 7 energy turn 1, not bad. Not bad. We've started well every game though. We've lost. So let's not get too cocky. Oh my god. So, sacrificial Bulba. And an N. Oh, got rid of a candy grass to get Octillery. Kept the choice band. Interesting. Keeping that over having higher odds to get a Venusaur. Because a Venusaur is more than 30 damage. Venusaur is a lot more. Hello, Darkness, my old friend. Let's continue to thin what we can. I mean, this deck is all about single prizes, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. Especially when our hand is absolute garbage. Literally hot garbage. Gonna see an Ultra Ball. Getting rid of Venusaur this time, alongside an N it looked like. Here comes Genesect. Sycamore from them. Let's see what else. There's a rare candy. Here we go. Here's the big jungle totem. And Bulbasaur. No, Ivysaur. Pass, it looks like. Okay. Gives them potential for a second Remoraid, but it allows us to thin a card. Not going to pay a retreat. I think that's super greedy against a non-EX deck. Let's pass. We need to have as many attackers as possible. I can't just go retreating around willy-nilly. Okay. Field Blower attachment. So this is doing 5. 2, 4, 6, 8. 130. Still need to retreat this big boy as well. They're going to Guzma Lele. And hit us for 130. Let's Volcanic Heat. And there we go. Okay. Well, we beat Venusaur Genesect, but yeah. Doesn't really show off much of the deck. So far we saw us losing to a Guardi, which we know is a difficult matchup. I think we were close in that game. Don't think there was any misplays. I think I misplayed in the game against Vikabulu. I think maybe overconfident just because their early start was so weak. I still should have been developing Remoraid because we had that drought in the mid game. Well, we were keeping up pressure-wise. I also had that stupid Ultra Ball where I got rid of 2 N's instead of an N and a Lele. Or sorry, I should have got rid of 2 N's. That was really greedy from me. We weren't super punished by that because we got out of it with the Octillery, but should have been punished, and in the end we did end up losing that game. So, misplays in the game 2, losing to a hard matchup in game 1. It was close, in fairness. So, yeah, I think don't really judge Volc on those games because it has so many good matchups in the metagame. I have it favored against pretty much every Zorro build there is. Favored against Golisopod, Garbodor. And, yeah, I think not many bad matchups. I think Frogs would be something this list would have to avoid. And I think Guardi, I think, is close, but you probably should lose most of the time. But yeah, that'll be the list. Let me know what you guys think about the actual 60, and make fun of me for how I played in those games. So, yeah, see you guys next time. Cheers.